Lee Lessack, Robert Bannon, the co-host of the Broadway cast reunion series. This upcoming weekend, they are doing Everybody's Talking About Jamie. And before we even say a word, I already want to tell you, I have the CD.
Oh,
I've got the shirt.
oh!
I mean, I am ready for this.
It's only been in the UK. It just was announced this week that it's coming to Los Angeles, the beginning of 2022. So we're so excited to introduce it to everyone who loves musical theater. It's a show about a boy who wants to be a drag queen. And I wish when I was 16 years old, I had a show like this because it would have made me feel accepted. I really was very moved. And I know Lee was as well, between the relationship between his mother and himself and the relationship that he has with his best friend and the bravery that this Jamie has. So if you're somebody who feels a little bit different or doesn't fit into the stereotypes of what you are, especially in high schools, which are the most nasty places in the world for so many people, it's a show that really touched my heart. So I'm so excited to talk about the show with the cast and the creators this Saturday.
Now, I think, if you're fans of RuPaul's Drag Race, then you've obviously heard Bianca Del Rio, Michelle Visage talking about being a part of the show. So people might have been like, wait a minute, what does she say? What show is she talking about? What are they mentioning? But maybe talk about, the two of them and the roles that they played in the show.
Well, Michelle is not going to be with us on Saturday, but Bianca Del Rio is. And in the musical, Jamie, the lead character, enters a drag contest, and so he goes to a store that specializes in dresses for drag, and it is run by a man by the name of Hugo, who is a somewhat retired, very well known drag queen, and he was known as Loco Chanel, and that's the role that Bianca Del Rio played in the West End.
I want to hear every song. I want to listen to it when I'm running. I want to listen to it when I'm cleaning the house. I want to listen to it in a club. I just could not get enough of the soundtrack. Do each of you have a favorite song that you really love in the show?
Well, I would be lying if I didn't admit that I have literally played the song My Boy hundreds of times, like just on repeat.
The only song I knew before I watched it was, and you don't even know it, which is the opening song, which is so catchy and so much fun. And then to see it on stage and the way it's staged and put on is a blast. But I love the end. I love, by the end of the show, it's such a celebration of people out of the darkness. That last song, that's their curtain call.
Oh yes,
what a fun way to end the show. So this is a wild emotional journey, I'm sure, for a lot of people who've seen it. Sure was for us. So
now, as far as the movie, have you got any insight as far, that was one of the things that I was most mad about for the pandemic. There's 100 million reasons why, but I was so excited for this movie to come out in the fall, then around holiday time, then January. Now it's not even on the schedule. Have you heard anything as far as when it may be released?
No, but we're going to ask the director, because we have got Jonathan Butterell, the director, and Dan Gillespie, who is the composer, and they're both going to be on the show as well. So we've got several questions for them.
We're gonna grill them.
There's not too many times where someone who's going to be a part of a series is on the back of my shirt, but Leighton is also going to be there as well.
Oh my goodness! Look at that! What a star!
We actually we have both the West End Jamie, and we have the UK tour Jamie, both joining us. Noah Thomas and Leighton Williams, they'll both be there. And we also have Melissa Jacques, who plays his mother, and his best friend, Priti, is played by Hiba El Sheikh, and she's going to be with us. And of course, Bianca Del Rio. So
that's going to be amazing afternoon. Now tell us a little bit about what we can expect, especially someone who's never seen one of these series before, because you have a handful of ones: Frozen, Jersey Boys, Dear Evan Hansen, that you've already done. Can people go back and watch those, or do we just have a little bit of window to watch this Jamie one?
Yeah, well, you if you buy a ticket, you can watch the live stream on Saturday, which is at 12 noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. in the UK and Europe. You can watch the live stream, and then for 4 days following that, so through midnight on the 21st, you can watch it again on demand if you'd like, and then it disappears. There's no performance involved. I mean, we do show some video clips short of the musicals, but there's no performance by the cast. It's really just a backstage experience.
Now, when I went to go catch the show, you know, obviously it was my first time abroad to, you know, to catch the performance, but there were so many people around me that were saying, this is my 5th time, this is my 10th time, this is, you know, I come here, you know, once a week. Is there a name? You know, I know there's like rent heads and there's, you know, different people who have, is there something for Jamie fans? Is there a particular name?
Do you know we found someone in the UK who runs a Jamie.music? It's at Jamie.musical. They have 13,000 Jamie fans. They're not licensed by the show, and they post almost every day, and they speculate and talk about casting and who was their favorite Jamie and who's going to be in the tour and who's coming to the United States. And it's so interesting to see the impact of popular theater and how it impacts culture and how it brings people together. I think that's what moves me about theater, is that, you know, when you go to these theater conventions like Broadway Con, or you go to a theater, like there are people that have similar interests who love Broadway, love the West End, love theater. So it's really nice to have met a bunch of people. Lee and I have people from around the world who come to all of our reunions and our shows because they love art and they love musical theater. So we have to come up with a good Jamie name. We'll ask. I'm adding it to the list.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there on Saturday. I'm going to make sure that question gets asked. Otherwise, I'm calling you.
Go ahead.
Now, so the show's coming to LA next year. It was just recently announced it's going to be coming. Have you heard anything as far as New York, Chicago? Are there any plans as far as the show touring around the US?
Yeah, it's going to be a world tour. They've already done Europe. So it's going to launch at the Amundsen Theater in January of 22. And then it'll go on a national tour, sort of similar to what they did with Mamma Mia. After Toronto, it came to the US and did a national tour, which culminated with a Broadway opening. Now, I just asked the publicity team yesterday whether it was confirmed that it was going to culminate with a Broadway opening. And she said that that was the hope, but there's nothing, you know, signed yet. I also asked whether it was going to be an American cast or whether it was going to be a British cast, and that was yet to be determined. But we're going to ask all these questions to the creative team because, interestingly enough, when I was in London a few years ago, I don't mean this like as a pun, but everybody was talking about Jamie. They were like, this is the musical to see.